The American Beauty Tim uses was made by Robust Tools. All our lathes have a 7-year warranty. Our tool wrists feature a hardened rod on top. Lots of sizes to fit your lathe. Robust, because the making matters.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood turning tools. Made by a wood turner, for wood turners. We're going to be working with crayons today, and I tell you, we've been playing with this for quite a while. Brian and I have been throwing ideas back and forth, and we wanted to make something where the crayons actually look like crayons still. They had the tips on them and everything else, and it came out looking like crap. So the problem was you can't really glue these together because the crayon itself is fragile. It wants to chip and break. So if you use anything to put them together, you still got parts of them that just snap off. They don't want to hold together when you turn them. So the only choice you have is melting them. Now some people have done that on the internet, and I particularly like the project that Peter Brown made. He melted some crayons, and his viewers came back and gave him lots of suggestions on how to help make the process easier, and help me make the process easier too. I appreciate it very much. So this is a small version of what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be making a nice little platter made of melted crayons. And my whole goal was to make it to where you could still have solid colors left so you could see vibrancy in this. And then on the bottom it looks a little bit different, but it's a really fun process, and there's a lot of steps to it, but not a lot of bad steps, because really you only need crayons. Well, you need crayons and an oven. You need crayons, oven, and a freezer. So we're going the whole range. But anyway, other than that, you just need crayons. So in starting to do this, I thought, okay, I'll do what Peter did and go out and get some 64 colors. Well, no, that's a bad deal, because I don't know about you, but what the heck is Blow? No, that's gold. Gold, and there is a weird one that is a Violet Tango. And what happened to us when we were kids, we had 8 colors. We had red, green, blue, yellow, black, brown. That's all we needed, but now they have all these colors. Well, that's great if you're coloring, but if you're melting, it sucks. So instead of investing in about 40 packs of these, which costs a lot of money, I found this cool thing, which is called a teacher's pack. You can buy a class pack, and in here you get about 16 different colors, and you get 800 crayons for 50 bucks delivered. That's not a bad deal. So because of that, I could have lots and lots of orange, lots of blue, lots of red, those normal colors that lots of people like to use. So anyway, what do you do? How do you get these melted? Well, obviously the first thing you have to do is get the paper off, and that's not as easy as you think it would be. Don't tell my wife we're in the kitchen. She's gonna kill me because I didn't clean it up. Anyway, you want to take a plastic bag or any other container you can think of and grab your crayons and just put them in here. And you can stuff this as full as you want. The project we're doing today took about 120 crayons to make. And so you just want to get a nice variety of colors, put them in, and then you zip them up. And, oops, I dropped one. Oh, I'm getting too old for that part. Anyway, zip them up. Doesn't have to be perfect. Get them all in there. Okay. It's not like you're going to spoil the food in the freezer. Then you just take them in the freezer and you just shove them in there. And leave them in there for about a day. Here are some frozen ones I've been playing with. And this is super, super cool. You just push. There you go. And look, it slides off. That is really, really neat. As a matter of fact, these slide off so easily, you wind up with beautiful little tubes. And I gotta tell you, after doing a bunch of this, I wound up with all these. So please, in the comments section, tell me what projects to make of these, because I hate to throw them away, they look good. There is one, however, one gotcha. I'm not sure how this worked for other people, but not all the colors peel well. I don't know why, if it's the color or if it's the processing or what. I got my cheat sheet here and I'll let you know ahead of time. Okay, orange, violet, and blue. Freeze great. Those sleeves come right off. The paper is awesome. Pink, and let me go back. Red, violet, yellow, cut and peel great. Pink has more sticky stuff on it, and green and yellow green are horrible. So I don't know why, but if you take a green one, whoops, that's not green. This is green. If you try to slide that sucker off, it's not gonna come off. So the only thing I could figure out how to do is my wife and I spent hours with a razor blade, and you see the Crayola right there? You wanna cut to this side of it because there's a seam on the other side. And let's see if I can do this without cutting myself, because I did not cut myself at all when I'm doing this. But you just take a peel all the way down like so, and then you try to take the paper off. This is where green gets horrible. Look at that stuff that's left on there. That's the glue. So I guess this is a lot different than the crayons we had as kids, where the paper came off real easy and you could eat this stuff. But anyway, what you have to do is get that off there, because I have a feeling that in the melting process that wouldn't be any good. So that's the only time-consuming thing that really drove me crazy, was getting these peeled off. But once you have a bunch of them peeled off and ready to go, you want to get yourself a pan. A cake pan would work, and this is just a little cheapy one I bought at Target. And so the neat thing was it worked out to the right size, because I can take this and snap it perfectly in half, or close. You're never going to get perfect. And just start setting them in here. So what I did was I would go ahead and do a bunch of one color. So we'll take the green out of there for right now. And I would just snap a bunch of blues. And once I had a ton of the blues made, I was actually going off of the 12 crayons at a time, snapping them half, that makes 24, right? So once you get those like that, you take them and you kind of make a little stack of them. So it's easier to do this when you have two different bowls. But I would kind of wad them up like this, to where they're all in order, standing nice like that. And so I would build them up and make a little bundle. And then I'd come back and make a bundle of red, and then a bundle of yellow, and a bundle of pink, and build this up as I go. It wants to fall over on you, so you got to keep it kind of tilted as you do it. But once you have this whole thing ready, you take this wonderful little thing, and you put it in the oven. Now, the melting point of crayons is just about 150 degrees or a little bit less. So you need to put this in the oven, and what worked best for me was an oven that was at 200 degrees. The pan was right on the middle shelf, and I let that go for about an hour. And one thing you'll notice, you'll know when you're about ready to be done, is when you look inside, you're going to see the crayons start to melt and they fall down and stuff, and then they're going to run a little bit on the top, but inside on the bottom they're not melted yet, so you got to let it keep going. You'll start seeing bubbles coming up to the top. When the bubbles come up to the top, that's the space between the crayons at the bottom, so you know you're releasing the air finally. And then once the bubbles kind of stop, you know everything's melted all the way to the bottom. Then all you do is shut the oven off and just let it sit overnight. And so the next day you come out, and this is what we're going to do today. We've mega-sized our project. You get this. Now this looks kind of crummy. You see this kind of white filmy stuff? I'm not sure what that is. It's not a color. It's just something in the crayons. And you think this is hard to get out, but no. It pops right out. And look at the colors there. That's pretty cool. So by letting this sit there and bubble out, I don't know, it releases this into there. And you can see how it runs on the top, but underneath it still kept the solid colors. Now I'm thinking I might have gone a little bit short on my time, because if you can see right there, I see a real crayon in the middle. So that might be a really interesting look when we make our platter. So you do want to make sure it melts all the way through, so you have a really solid blank. So the next step is, well, how do we do this? Well, we got to put it on the lathe. Okay, now we have to protect our lathe, because we're going to be holding this on here by melting the crayons. And I'm going to take a waste block here that I put on here. This is perfectly flat, but you can see I put some grooves into it because I need some tooth, because when I melt the crayons, I want them to go inside and stick right up like that. And this is going to mount like so, with the ugly wide white side out, because this is going to be the top of our bowl. And you can see I've already found my center point there, so that's going to come in real handy here in just a second. So what we're going to do is put this thing down here. I have my handy dandy heat gun, bring my tailstock up, and one important thing, I found this one out the hard way. You want to have gloves on when you do this because crayon's not quite like wax. It just doesn't pop off. It takes a while to peel. So get this going here, and let's see if I have them. I don't think the crayons are going to explode on me, but you never know. Let's wear some safety goggles at the same time. Okay, here's the fun part. We're going to turn this on high, and it doesn't take a long time to get this melty. So you want to keep this moving as it goes. And actually, if I melt this a little bit harder, I can get some wax to go into that hole there that we have. See how that melts? Isn't that cool? But that's why I put the paper towel down, because I didn't want this to get on the ways of the lathe, because you can scrape it off metal a lot easier than you can your hands, especially when they're burning. Okay, so that looked pretty goopy, but I want to make sure I have enough here because I got a big block. Pretty, isn't it? So when you melt this stuff in the oven, one thing is when you're done with the melting, you can actually take this and put a stick in your container and smoosh it around. You can make all wavy forms and shapes if you want to. There we go. Now I'm filling some of those holes. Turn that off. Here comes the fun part. Ugh. We're going to slide this up here. I'm going to bring up my tailstock real quick and then try to center that up on there like so. And then I'm going to push that in and let that hold for a moment. I can hear it squishing as it goes. Okay, we got a good hold. So we're going to let that set for a few minutes until it dries or cools off and stops being melty. Now, our bowl's going to be oriented like this as we turn. So the first thing I want to do is just work on this edge and get it smoothed out and get it rounded. The cool thing is throughout this whole project, we're only going to be using two tools. We're going to be using a shallow detail spindle gouge and a scraper. So that's no big deal right there. So easy to do. And guess what? We're not even going to have to sharpen one time. That is the fun thing about turning with crayons. So we'll start this up slowly. It's going to be a little bit out around, I'm sure. So pick up our speed here. I'm keeping the tailstock up because I don't know how much I trust that melty glue joint there we made. So I'm going to come in here and start my cuts. And this stuff is really cool. I'm taking a really light cut right now. A really light cut right now because, oh my gosh, that brings back memories. Forgot what crayons tasted like until you eat a few of them again. Good. They haven't changed the formula. So anyway, you gotta admit, this has got to be one of the most rainbow-colored shavings you ever see anywhere on any turning that you do. It's really pretty cool. I'm going to try to collect some of these later and put them in a jar or something just for the looks. One trick you do want to do, though, as you're doing this, is if you have been turning in your shop, don't clean it up. If you clean up your shop, you're going to have what we have down here on the floor. Just crayons, right? Well, guess what crayons stick to? Your shoes. Guess what your wife says when you walk in the house with your shoes full of crayons? I can't repeat it here. Anyway, so if you have shavings on your floor, they get mashed in, the crayons get mashed into the shavings, and it helps you clean things up a whole lot. So anyway, we're going to start narrowing this down a little bit. We're going to come to this side and just kind of clean up this end. Do a pull cut. You can get aggressive with this and take bigger cuts, but it's actually such a pleasure working with this material. I'm in no rush. What I'm doing, though, is I'm trying right here to get rid of all that white filmy look, and I think I'm doing okay. And I don't know, Brian, can you see this right here where my finger is? See the white crayons there? This is one reason why you want to really heat these up. There's holes in the crayons, too. The centers are hollow a little bit, and I don't know if it's the processing or what, but you can see on the blues there's some there too. So the more you heat it up, the better it melts that away. So I probably was a little bit short on my time on this one because the first one I made was about that big. This one's this big, so obviously you increase the mass, you probably got to increase the cook time. So let's see here. I'm going to stop this. We're going to come back to this side and start shaping the back side just a little bit. I'm using one of the robust tools, shorter tool rests. It's nice to get around all your equipment when you do this. So anyway, we'll take this and turn it back on again, and I'm going to start making the underside of the bowl here, or the platter. Oh, this is so cool. I mean, when this stuff comes off, it is awesome. Whoop. Hey, you can get a catch, doesn't hurt. Now, I don't know what the grain orientation is on a crayon, so I think I can go uphill and downhill without having any problems. One thing you do want to keep in mind is that this is a melted product, right? So you don't want to make things too thin. So you just take your time and leave a little bit of weight on the platter. I'm going to undercut the lip here a little bit. Oh my gosh, this is just so awesome. There we go, it's looking good. The big problem with this stuff is it gets everywhere when you turn it, so you got to make sure you just wipe it off every now and then because it just gets in the way. So anyway, we'll keep going, and we're going to start hollowing on the inside here in just a second. Okay, we're going to have some real fun here. In all honesty, when I melted the crayons and you saw them on the video, well, I was doing that with the broiler because it's the only way I could have the door open and get the melting done. So look, I probably should have kept these in a little bit longer. I did put them in at 200 degrees, but I thought only 30 minutes was needed at that point. This might be really, really cool, or it might be a real big disaster. So we're just going to keep soldiering on. If things start to fall apart on me, we'll get out the heat gun and see if we can put it back together. So I'm going to keep this at about a 3/8 of an inch thickness, no less, because I could probably get into a lot of trouble with these holes in here. So we'll just turn it back on and we'll just start taking nice little cuts. Now the cool thing is like I said, there's no grain direction, right? So you can break all the bowl turning rules in the world if you want to, even though this is a platter. If you want to make a bowl blank, you're going to need a really deep cake pan. Now, if you got a bunt pan, you can make a big donut because it has that thing in the center. Not that I know that much about cooking. One thing you do want to do is, I tried sanding this, and it didn't work really well. It clogged up my Abernet really fast. So the better the tool finish you can put on here, the better your surface is going to be, because this right here is all tool finish. And so you can see the little bit of ridging, but actually it's kind of neat. I don't mind that. And let me show you one thing I did learn. This is going to be interesting. I thought, okay, well, let's just heat it up a bit, and then we can use the heat as a way of polishing it, right? Let's see if I can get this to happen again here. Nope, doesn't work that way, because what do you do when you mix all the colors together in a crayon pack? You get black. So you don't want to do that, unless you want a solid colored piece of crayon, and then at that point, why are you doing crayons? So here we go again. We're going to clean that up, and we'll just start taking out the center of this platter. And this is going to be one of those things where I sneak up on all the way, and I'm going to keep stopping and checking just to see how the structural integrity is holding up with all those holes. Oh, that's it. I think we know the answer there now, how it's going to hold up. Let's take a look. Yes, we have a slightly larger hole now. Obviously, I did not melt these long enough. So, give me a minute. We'll go back to the drawing board and see what we come up with. Okay, it's been a couple of days, and we made a new blank. One of the things I did was I recycled some of the blank that flew all over the shop. So the colors are a little bit different. You can see how they blended together better. And also they're deeper and they're more vibrant, I think. And that is because I actually put this in at 250 for 2 hours this time, just to make sure that it would get good and melted. And if you notice right here, see this almost white ring right here? That's the clear stuff that rises to the top when you've cooked it long enough. And bubbles will come through that. Once the bubbles stop, that means this is solid. Trust me, this one's solid. Last time you heard me say that, something went across the room, probably. Oh, get out of the way. Anyway, so we're back at the stage we were before. This has been glued on here, obviously, with the heat gun, and now we're just doing the shape. So I want to keep shaping this inside just a little bit, and then we're going to pull the tailstock away and truss that hold and finish the top. So let's go here. Turn our lathe on. By the way, One thing is, if you do turn crayons in your shop, make sure you clean up the day that you did it, because if you come back 2 days later and there's been a hot day and something, it doesn't smell good. And it's not like crayons at all. It's pretty bad. So anyway, so this is simple spindle turning again. We'll just come in here, and you can see we're getting the white off now because the shavings are nice and white. They're also like ribbons that come off. They're not chippy like the crayon. So this tells me that this is probably the wax part of the crayon, and then when I hit the chippy part, that's mainly the pigments. So I don't know why the pigments want to chip, but they make such cool shavings, it's worth it. It's fun as all get out. So we're going to keep coming in here, like so. Now I want to think about this a little bit because I want my platter to have a little bit of distinction to it. So I'm going to come in right here, famous last words, and make a little bit of a shape. Just by pushing in like so. Get the shavings off so you can see what I'm doing. I'm kind of back cutting, so I'll come in here now, and I'm going to go in like so and go a little bit deeper. So now I have a bit of a lip. That gives me a shadow line. So when this is sitting on a table or wherever you put it, light's going across it will give us some texture and depth, and it'll have an artsy feel to it. And since it's crayons, by gosh, you better be artsy, right? And I'm trying to rub my bevel as I go because that helps smooth out the surface, because I'm not going to sand this. So I'm making one long pass here. I'm not going to go too thin on this, but this stuff has been amazingly strong. I've been really impressed with it. But now let's stop this and see what our finish looks like. That's pretty good. Okay, you can see some black circles. I rubbed the bevel too long, so I actually made the colors melt a bit so it's black. So I'm going to go back and let's see. This time I'm going to try this. I'm going to pull this back a bit, and I'm going to go with my relief scraper. So it's got that relief edge on top. Well, the cool thing is I really don't think I need it for this because this is such easy stuff to turn. It's great. The fun thing is if you were going to be doing this for a living, you'd probably just have to get one Thompson gouge, sharpen it once, and then you could turn for 3 years, because this stuff does not dull the tools. So we'll come in here, and I'm going to take really fine shavings and smooth it out this way. Now this is cutting because I have a nice burr on there, and let's see how clean that looks now. See if those black marks are gone. They're gone, and ooh, it's smooth too. That's cool. So now I'm going to get cleaned off a little bit, and we're going to start working on that little nib right there. Well, we got the tailstock pulled away. Time for bravery. I'm going to turn the speed down a little bit just in case, and bring it back up again. And so we're just going to work that nib off of there so we have a clean center. And I'm just going to take really light cuts because I don't want to put any extra pressure on this. That stuff just cuts so beautifully. This is really, really cool. Despite the little bit of hassles when you're trying to get it all peeled, all the paper peeled off, and get everything stacked in the little bowl and get it melted, this is really fun material to work with. I was dying trying to figure out how to hold this thing and work on the bottom when I was going through the first one. And then I remembered these coal jaws that Ron Brown's Best sent me one day. And they're really cool things. Different people make them. But what it does is, see how those little fingers go in and out? Well, they're grabby little fingers, and they got little soft rubber pieces on them. So you can take this, and if I can do this with one hand, that's the whole idea behind it. Okay, so that's holding that right now gently, right? Now on the back side here, you'll see each one of these is held with a little bitty wing nut. So I'm just slightly tightening those, and I want to go all the way to the other side just so I'm even on this. So I'm going to tighten these up, and once I have these tightened, we're going to be able to turn the bottom. So I just want to make sure I don't crush anything. I just want to do a nice soft grab on here, because these little rubber knobbies have a lot of give to them. You can see you can squeeze them with your hand. So they're meant to not damage wood, and crayon is a little more fragile than that. So that's why I want to be careful. I think this is going to be really fun, and it works really, really well. Now this is really cool when you use a coal jaw, but you got to watch your speed, so you want to bring it down, way down when you start it. Odds are it's going to be just a little bit out around, so you're just going to have to smooth things out as you cut. So keep in mind here, here's the knobbies. So even though I'm seeing this edge, I got to stay this far in or I'm going to hit the rubber parts. And so that's why I tried to make the edge of it go farther enough in when I was on the other, when it was flipped the other way, to make sure I wouldn't run into this. So I'm going to do a pull cut to begin with here and just start seeing where we are. Okay. It's just a little jumpy right now because remember I put those grooves in the waste block and that's what this metal melted into, so I've got these little bumps, little speed bumps all the way across. So let's see, it's smoothed out enough. I'll try a push cut now. And I got to take my time because it is going slower. It's so slow I think I can pick it up a bit. Oh, that wind sound can get to you though. So I want to go into the center a little bit, and I want to make sure that the outer edge of where this sits on the table is what touches the table. So the middle in here is going to be deep, a little bit deeper. I left it pretty thick, so I'm not too worried about going through. And I think with experimentation, you could find out how thin you could actually take these. Because it seems to be a very nice, strong material once you have it melted properly. So I have to slow my roll here and let the tool do the cutting and not get in a hurry and push. So the tool is telling me right now this is as fast as I want to go. Coming out to our edge here. Again, the one thing you can run into though is if you take it too slow, you'll start to melt the crayons and you get a different color. It's looking pretty cool. You can actually finally see on the bottom, it still kept the structure of some of the crayons. So you see the hexagon pattern. Well, even though they're round, I don't know why I went hexagon. Oh, it filled the gaps in between them, that's why. So I'm gonna smooth this out here, and I think we're getting really close to being done. It's not a masterpiece, but it's looking pretty cool. You gotta stay clear of those little rubber things. I don't want to bring my scraper in here, it's too fat. So that'd get me in trouble. Let's see how that looks there. Check that up and look at the profile. I got a little bump right there I want to get rid of. That's part of the being out around bit, so you just got to kind of ease your way into those things. There we go. I gotta admit, this is a very, very fun project. It's always nice to try to put something different on the lathe and then it actually works out. Maybe not the first time, but eventually it will work out. That is so cool right there. Okay, let me get this out of the way. We'll pull this over here. Now I've got to unloosen these just slightly on the back, just so I loosen the little rubber thingies. And then that allows me to spin this. If you notice, you can see black, gray, and black. It's three little plates. This is actually probably white when you take it out. And that is like a silicone-y type of plastic, so it helps this thing to slide over, the black parts to slide over really well. So anyway, we'll take this and we'll try to open it or close it. Which way does it go? Almost there. I gotta do a couple more. Let's see. What you don't want to do is drop it at this point. Take my goggles off. Nothing dangerous is gonna happen now. Ignore that. Something will. You know me. Okay, let's try it now. Oh, there it goes. That is really cool. That is how you make a crayon platter. And I think this is a really neat process. I'm probably going to do this again. Well, mainly because I have about 350 crayons saved back still. So I have the two different platters so you can see the different looks that you can get. So you can go for the real blended look or you can go for the big blotchy look. I think that's really neat. So that's cool. The other thing I'm doing is I'm saving some of these chips. They're too cool to throw away. I'm not gonna melt them. I'm gonna put them in a glass jar or something. But anyway, again, that's how you make a crayon platter. So until the next time on wood turning, keep turning.
The American Beauty Tim uses was made by Robust Tools. All our lathes have a 7-year warranty. Our tool wrists feature a hardened rod on top. Lots of sizes to fit your lathe. Robust, because the making matters.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood turning tools. Made by a wood turner, for wood turners.